welcome to the Yellow Jacket Playoff Review. Randy Young along with Brian Davis here, 2/3, or actually 2/4, which I think is a half, depending on your math view.
And we're not talking about just Jamie. We got Bryce too. So
that's right, of the Yellow Jacket radio crew for Thomas County Central. And we appreciate you guys being here with us, as today we're going to take a look back at the quarterfinal loss to Langston Hughes, 28-12. Brian, we went up there knowing that Langston Hughes was a very athletic team. They were athletic and then some, about the fastest high school football team I've ever seen in my life.
Their speed was really unmatched, and unfortunately the way it looked for us was we just were one step behind each time they ran the ball or they make a tackle. We knew we had speed in certain areas, but we just had no match for their true speed, and that's just a pure athletic football team, and that's what we encountered.
Justin Rogers made the comment to us as we were heading into the game last week. We did an interview with him for the radio broadcast, that his biggest fear was what he called the home run ball from Langston Hughes. They are the type of team that is looking for quick strikes. They don't want to line up and drive the football. They want to hit the big play, and they did that 3 times through the course of the night. They did have one possession that they kind of drove the ball to get 1 touchdown on, but 3 of the scores that they got, 3 of the 4, were those big play types, which is exactly what they want to do. And again, as Brian mentioned, just speed everywhere. For example, their 4x100 relay team last year set a state record at the state track meet, and 3 of those 4 guys on that track team are their wide receiving core. Very fast, very athletic. Their quarterback, Christian Langford, who's a young man who moved in from Buford, very impressive, Brian. I thought he really was the straw that kind of stirred the drink for them. He didn't make a bad decision the whole night.
No, and it was really important to see how he was going to play against our defensive front. That was one of the questions we had going into the game. What decisions was he going to make in order to kind of counteract how fast we were defensively and how dominant we had been up front pretty much all year long? What Langford did was he did just enough. He was able to make the right reads at certain points, and he made people miss. And as you'll see here in the highlights when we get to that point, Langford had a way to be able to get on the outside edge, and just people could not tackle him. And when you cannot tackle in space, speed kills, and that's exactly what happened.
Thomas County Central did create a handful of turnovers, had 3 turnovers on the night, but the killer for the Yellow Jackets was getting deep possessions down into the red zone and not being able to score touchdowns.
No.
We had a couple of opportunities down deep. In fact, one of them down around the 3-yard line, and just could not convert. And instead of 2 touchdowns, which is what we should have gotten, we ended up with 2 field goals, and those hurt just because those are, again, a lot of points left on the field, and I think momentum-wise could have made a huge difference.
Well, when you look at the spread as far as points concerned, over and over, you know, of course that's what we've done all week. It's just we talk about what could have been, but you look at it and you say, okay, if we could have scored here, that was on maybe a drop pass situation. I don't know if you got in the highlights or not, in the end zone. If we score there and we score on these 2 possessions and we get the touchdown we got, then you go back and look, well, it's a tied ball game at that point. And we could have probably found a touchdown, but we didn't, you know, and that's part of it. That's high school football, and that's high school football in Georgia. Sometimes it just don't go your way, and it didn't for us Friday night. But all that being said, I believe fully the team that we encountered was one of the best teams that I've ever seen, just out of pure athleticism that was on the field.
Well, let's go ahead and jump into the highlights, and you'll be able to see for yourself the type of athleticism that we're talking about. Yellow Jackets, the Jacket Nation traveled, and you see the home crowd for Langston Hughes, very small. They only have 400 or 500 folks per home game, according to some folks that I know that have kids up there. A 4th down play here. This was after they had faked a punt on the a 3-and-out that we thought we had 3-and-out. And their tight end, who was a Texas A&M commit, took the snap and just took off on the right side, gained about 22 yards. Anytime you see a team doing that on the first possession of the game, you kind of know that you're in for an unconventional night.
Well, the momentum swing there was going to be big, and your defense, their back, made a big stand there on their side of the field.
Here's the tunnel screen they scored on here, Brian, and you can see again, when they got to the middle of the defense, you got Okoye Rawls there and D. Reddick, who are 2 guys that can fly, trying to chase him down, and they just couldn't get to him.
Well, the goal was to have people in place to be able to make those tackles, and unfortunately it just didn't happen.
And now here they are down at our 27. This is the junior running back. This is the only, actually we caused a fumble there, that's right. Cam Brooks stripped the ball out of the running back's hands, and Amari Stevenson jumps on it. But they were driving the field there.
Yeah,
And
your
we created
defense
turnover.
throughout the course of the night, both are back several times creating those turnovers to get us opportunities to score.
Get it to Deuce Lawrence. Deuce had a good night. Deuce had right at 100 yards for the night, but just as we were talking about before we started taping, runs where he had a crease this year against any other team that turned into a huge home run type play, they contained it for 15, 20 yards or so. He never was able to bust one loose.
They did a very good job of keeping us in front of them. Of course, that was our game plan with them, and we just couldn't seem to do it. As you see right here, a missed tackle, and he gets all the way down to the end zone nearby.
Yep, and actually 2 missed tackles,
Yeah.
and we couldn't catch him. So now Langston Hughes ahead 14-0. Jalen Johnson, the junior quarterback, who struggled, just was not comfortable all night throwing the football. Did some good things with his legs, and I mean, he hit some passes too. I don't want to say that he didn't, because he did. And this is Deuce Lawrence again, coming off on the left side. One of his best runs of the night right here. About 25 or so yards.
I'm excited to see him back next year. He worked so well in the perimeter, and it was just a good night for him.
Yep. Drew Renault came in after the drive bogged down, and a 47-yard field goal with that ball being frozen. It was like, again, kicking a brick, but he kicked it and got it with room to spare. Drew, one of those seniors that's going to be missed after this year. But that field goal cut the lead to 14-3, and immediately our defense created another opportunity.
Yeah, and mind you, there in that stance there with Drew, it was 14-0 at half. We had not scored until here in the third quarter.
Yep. So a missed exchange between the quarterback and the running back, and we jump on it. Cam Brooks picks it up, almost busted it there. If he could have got away from that one guy, he probably would have taken it for the touchdown. But as it is, we've got the ball down inside their 20. And knocking on the door with an opportunity to cut it to a one-score lead.
Yeah, and you thinking here, okay, your defense constantly is giving you opportunities. You have to counteract and be able to find something.
Yep. Now, they did a fantastic job, too, by the way. We had 37 total yards at the half, so that tells you how dominant they were. Nice pass to Jay Jones, senior wide receiver out there on the far right side, gets us down to about the 5. But it bogs down, and we have to get another field goal. And now it's 14-6, but it's a one-score game.
Yeah, well, and that's the big thing there is that's the reason you take the points in that situation, because you're able to make it a one-score game.
So kickoff here, and the special teams create an opportunity. Gleaton, who's the track star, has the ball here, trying to run it up the middle, and we punch it out of his hands as he's going down. And I got tickled at this because we were trying to figure out who had the ball, and all of a sudden you'll see who else, Mr. Jaden Rubo, stand up again like he's declaring his allegiance to the Pride Lands here with the ball.
I've never seen a player that has the way to find the ball, no matter where it's out on the field, like Jaden Rubo.
Watch him when he stands up here. Yep. So again, we've created another opportunity down inside their 30-yard line, and we moved the ball, got it down inside the 15. Jalen on a run this time, I think, over on the left side. I thought he got in here, but they spotted him at about the half-yard line. Jalen, a big physical quarterback. I still contend he got in.
Yeah, of course, there is no replay in this point in the playoffs, but as you can see, we did answer.
Yep, and now Deuce Lawrence will take it off the right side between right guard and center and dives in, and it's 14-12. We went for 2 and missed the conversion, and here is the third play from scrimmage after we scored that touchdown. Watch this. 3 missed tackles, and when he gets into the open field, and look at this, he's just leaving our guys in the dust, and these guys can move. Now, it needs to be said, D. Reddick injured his shoulder in the second quarter and was not back out on the field for a while. Now, he did come back out eventually, but that 21-12 spread now you're back to a 3-score spread, and Langston Hughes in full control of it.
Unfortunately, in that situation, you had 3 guys there in place to make that tackle, and you just couldn't seem to find it.
An interception here from Danielle Jester. After they had a penalty, they had 2 guys in motion. So another turnover.
Yeah, and that was only the 4th interception by Langford the whole year.
Yep. But they drive the ball again, get it down inside our 25, and the quarterback keeps it, and he knows what to do. Just outruns the middle of our defense, and they end up winning at 28-12. You just have to tip your cap to them. A very athletic team, one of those teams that they're going out and getting guys that are coming in and helping them win. I mean, Last year, 58 total players on their roster. They had 31 seniors. So you're talking 27 juniors, sophomores, and freshmen. And then this year, 63 players on that roster and 37 seniors. So they're doing what they got to do.
I don't know whereas we have ever encountered a team that has over 50% of their players being seniors, not to my knowledge at least. I've never seen that. But we saw it Friday, and you could certainly see, no matter who they rolled in depth-wise, had that experience and was extremely athletic. And so it is what it is. You know, we took our loss in stride. I was very proud of how we made progress this year. And, you know, hey, sometimes it just happens. It's high school football in Georgia.
Yep, no doubt. And as Thomas County Central folks will tell you, the best thing that happened for the 2023 state championship team was losing in the quarterfinals to a Roswell team back in 2022. Thomas County Central senior class, a fantastic run. 3 straight quarterfinal rounds. Actually the second time in program history that's ever happened. The other time was 92, 93, 94. You've got a handful of guys that are going to be playing college ball. D. Reddick has already signed with Southern Cal. There'll be others that'll be signing along the way. 18 seniors on this particular team with 2 region championships under their belt and a state championship, a 38-3 record in the last 3 years under Justin Rogers. That's about as good as it's going to get.
Yeah, I mean, I'm super proud of this group of seniors in particularly because they had the want to. This was still a class that saw that defeat against Benedictine some years ago.
59-0.
And they responded in such a major way with this new coaching staff that we got 3 years ago. And you could see it. You could see the want to on the field. You could see the want to in the hallways and in the classroom. These kids really believed in being a Yellow Jacket. And that's what makes you super proud of that senior class in particular, because every single one of them had such pride in being a Thomas County Central Yellow Jacket, and that's all you want, really, in my opinion.
Yeah, in fact, D. Reddick, on his signing for Southern Cal, they asked him for a quote, and he said, "I'm just proud that I was able to play my football here at Thomas County Central High School, where I'm proud to call myself a Yellow Jacket." The future is very bright, though. If you're a Central fan, you need to feel good, because of the 18 seniors that will be graduating off this team, 5 of them are starters. Okoye Rawls back in the secondary, Jaden Rubo at linebacker. You've got D. Reddick, of course, who will be graduating. And then 2 of the offensive linemen, McKellen and LeVar Madison.
That's right.
So 17 of 22 guys will be back in 2025. And Brian, we have talked a lot about like Milton High School this year and how they've got 11 D1 guys that are committed to Division I schools. Thomas County Central is not going to be very far behind that heading into 2025.
You and I had the discussion the other day. I think we counted maybe 9 that currently has D1 offers.
And there'll be more
on the table, and we fully expect to see a whole slate of other players, especially when you have these guys that have been on the bench these past few years with these starters that are in place now. Be able to rotate in. And so you have no reason to hang your head at all, because the future is very bright if you're a Yellow Jacket. But here's what makes it so special, is the fact that this team this year, we knew going in, had only 1 returning starter on offense, and that was your quarterback, Jalen Johnson. This group now has a whole season, including a quarterfinal, on their slate as an offensive unit. I'm super excited to see how they turn out next year.
Yeah, and that's a very good point. Coming into the season, I think if somebody with sage prognostication skills had come up to either one of us and said, okay, how about an 11-2 record? You're going to make it to the quarterfinals again and be ranked in the top 5 the entire season with 4 starters coming back off the 2023 state championship season. I think most of us would have said, yeah, we'll take it.
Yeah, especially when you consider the wins that you got this season too. You beat a defending state champion in Coffee County. You got a big win against Florida State High School, who did a very good job this year and was in the Florida playoffs. You beat Thomasville, you beat Cairo, you beat Bainbridge.
Yep.
You went and beat Houston. You took care of Region except for Lee County. You have no reason to complain at all if you're a Yellow Jacket, because I believe fully, this coaching staff and these players have made a major step to what is coming next year. And that
and the
will
following
be the
year, I mean, that's the thing about it. This Yellow Jacket team is loaded and it's deep, going all the way from the senior class to the freshman class. Some of the best athletes we've ever had.
Yeah.
And, well, again, we mentioned the loss to Lee County. Heck, they're still playing.
Right, right.
So that tells you something.
Thomas County Central has had no bad losses. You can't say, well, we shouldn't have lost that game.
Yeah.
Each team we lost to this year,
They're still alive.
I believe, is a really, really good football team because you're a really good football team, and I believe you will be next year.
There's a possibility that those two teams may be playing each other for the state championship. That's a pretty good season. Jacket Nation, to the fan base, Brian, I don't even know what to say. I mean, it is really special when the fans of a program are getting as much, if not more, attention than the actual football program itself. This fan base has kind of rewritten the rules. To me, I think they've become the standard that every other high school fan base is measured by. Just an amazing showing from this fan base this year.
As a kid that was born in the 90s, that grew up through the late 90s to the early 2000s and how those crowds were, and I sat with Ma and Dorsey Smith right on the 50-yard line. It is back. It is back to being what it used to be. The thunder that you hear from everybody kicking the stands. Of course, everybody brought the jugs out after the hornhole debacle this year. It is good to be a Yellow Jacket, and it's good to be a Yellow Jacket fan because it finally feels like we are back in our heyday from when you hit a Friday night, the phones are in your pocket, and you're looking towards the field, you're rooting on the Yellow Jackets.
And we want to thank all of our fans from the radio broadcasts that we get so many comments from everybody saying how much they enjoy sitting at home and as they say, closing their eyes and they're inside the stadium. It's a good time to be calling these games and a good time to be a part of it. We want to thank all of you guys for following us and being a positive part of what right now is just a really good spot to be in as a program.
It's really easy to call games that you enjoy.
That's it.
And it's really easy to call games that you know people want to listen to. And so that's, it does our heart a lot of good to have as many listeners as we do every Friday night. And, for everybody that reaches out and tells us, they appreciate what we do and everything, it is the only time I've ever had to be able to part of a place that you can kind of bring a whole community under one roof, no matter their location across the globe, to make everybody feel like for any given 4 hours on a Friday night, you're back home.
Yep, no doubt. Again, we want to thank everybody for tuning in. We appreciate all of the support from our fans, and of course, congratulations to the coaches and the players for a fantastic season as Thomas County Central closes out 2024, 11-2 record, and looking forward to a very special 2025. Brian, thanks for coming by.
Yes, sir.
Man. To everybody out there, happy holidays, Merry Christmas, and we'll see you next time on the Yellow Jacket Playoff Review.